If you guys are the Titans right now, which direction would you be leaning with that number 1 overall pick?
If I was the Titans?
If you were the Tennessee Titans.
For me, it's a no-brainer. I'm taking Carter.
Abdul Carter?
Yeah.
So, see, I know it's interesting because there's a lot of people, and I'm of the opinion if they like Shedeur or Ward, like even a little, you got to go with the quarterback. But you'd go Carter.
I mean, I think those two are going to be so bad.
Yeah, you don't, I know you don't like them.
Well, I'm just taking Carter can be a game changer like Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. Like if you have a player on defense like that, you're at an immediate advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And now also,
you might trade Harold Landry too, so you get a replacement.
So yeah, I brought this up when talking about how I would trade Watt for Stafford, as I think obviously a quarterback much more important. Mm-hmm. But the Titans have the opportunity to do both. I love the best player in the draft in Abdul Carter, an immediate game changer on defense. That's who I take at number 1. Someone who's going to be just a stud for a long time. A Micah Parsons type of guy. And then, instead of taking Cam Ward or Shedeur number 1, I'm taking a better quarterback in the second round in Jackson Dart.
Here he is. There's your guy.
Who, Ziggy hinted on that. There's a quarterback to be named later. That's the quarterback to be named later. And I have no rhyme or reason. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a stats guy. I'm not analytical. A
visionary.
Look, I can't come in with these facts and all these fancy sayings on why
that would require research.
And why I think Jackson Dart's going to be amazing. I just know that he's going to be amazing. I mean, I watch Ole Miss, and this guy is just like Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he's rolling out of the pocket. He's slinging the ball all over the place. I think Dart is just as good as Shedeur and Cam Ward. So when you can go and get Abdul Carter, number 1 overall, then you take your quarterback in the second round with Dart. That's an A+ draft for me with Tennessee. I mean, Dart's beating Georgia. He beat Jaden Daniels in that shootout last year.
He's very.
I mean, Dart might go down as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the SEC.
Oh, I thought you were going to say in the NFL.
Oh, that too.
Ziggy, what do you think of this?
They should get Lane Kiffin.
I'll always say this. If you're not going to take a quarterback, I think edge is the position you have to take because it's the other position I think that's really valuable where it's basically impossible to get the studs. Mm-hmm. When you've got a generational pass rusher, teams do not trade those guys. They lock them up. And Abdul Carter, I can't think of another player we've seen coming out of the draft that's quite like him. That a lot of people forget this, even though he had unbelievable production this year. This was a position switch. He had very little experience playing this position, and he dominated, despite being a huge work in progress. He has work ethic. He plays well. I'm not all that worried about the arrest that he had earlier. I think that's a one-off thing. He's an unbelievable player. He plays through injury. He's got incredible moves. Honestly, in my view, he's the most exciting edge rusher to come out of the draft since Von Miller. I think he's that special.
Wait,
in terms of how he can explode, how he can bend, how he moves.
Wait, that's over guys like Watt and Myles Garrett. That's over Micah Parsons.
TJ Watt was not as exciting coming out of the draft.
Sure, no, I know.
I don't even want.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Like, I remember when you drafted him. Jack was devastated.
I want Reuben Foster.
And I remember being in the room, and who was it? Me and our friend Mike, and we're like, dude, you got a Watt, and you were like, yeah, I guess that's true. You got a Watt, brother. But okay, so still though, like Micah was unbelievably praised coming out. So you're still on Abdul.
The physical gifts, I think, are just unbelievable. And how well he played at a position where he has basically no experience, even better. And he improved a lot throughout the year. This was not a guy just relying on athleticism. This was a guy improving. Now, look, I think it's unlikely that you're going to be able to play him every down his first year. I think he needs a little bit of time to develop. I'd probably use him primarily just to pin your ears back and go after the quarterback. But this Titans defensive line is a nice spot to slot in. I know we talked about them moving off of Harold Landry, but you've still got Jeffrey Simmons on that line. There are good players on this defensive line. Putting him on the weak side, I think he could have a special season from year one. So I absolutely love the player. He's number one on my big board for the draft, even though I'm not all the way through watching tape. I'm really excited about this guy. And saying he's the best prospect doesn't mean I think he's going to turn out better than Myles Garrett. He probably won't.
I know.
Just because that's how it works. He's the most exciting prospect at the position I've seen in a long time. And who are you taking him over? That's the other question you have to look at. Shedeur Sanders, he's a high ceiling guy, but I worry about the athleticism in today's NFL. Cam Ward is a good player, but I'm not super excited about him. Honestly, I think I agree with Jack that even though I think Sanders and Ward are better than Dart's a very similar guy. Both like Ward and Dart remind me a lot of Bo Nix and Sam Howell, neither of whom I was super high coming out of in the sense of where I felt you had to draft them no matter what. Yeah, if I'm the Titans, I'm locking up the defense. I'm giving Abdul Carter time to develop into a monster. And I'm saying, look, it's going to take a couple of years. Let's take a player we really have a reason to believe in. It's likely one of these quarterbacks is going to turn out good, but you have no idea who it is. I love Abdul Carter.
I remember watching him. Jack, we were down there for the Orange Bowl.
I don't know how you won that game.
Remember he was injured. Oh, yeah. He was in, they got Warren on that side on offense, and then on defense, Carter was playing injured, and the dude was a freak. Do you remember watching that? It was insane.
He was like missing a shoulder, and it didn't matter.
It was although Jeremiah Love ran it. Remember that?
And if that game happens 10 times, you probably lose like 8.
Hell no, brother. The spirit of Notre Dame wills on. No, I don't think you could go wrong with Carter at that pick. Like you have risk if you take Shedeur or Cam Ward.
You're gonna say Shedeur. I know that's what you're gonna say.
No. I think again, my whole philosophy would come down to if you believe in one of the quarterbacks, you must take them. Like that's my thought. And Ziggy, that's where I was wondering where you were gonna go, because I know, no pun intended, you have that like dartboard. You're throwing darts essentially with quarterback until you land one. But it sounds like neither of you guys are too into either the top 2 guys. So yeah, then I would go Abdul Carter as well. Although Travis Hunter, man, that would be fun. Like you get an athlete like that on your team, but I do think Carter's the best player.
I mean, you have two quarterbacks who couldn't take their teams to the playoff in a 12-team format.
I mean, Jackson Dart didn't do that. Just saying.
Yeah, but
just saying. If that's the argument.
But also, but here's the thing. It's like
you loved Cam Ward.
But I know. But Cam Ward. Jackson Dart didn't do it, but Jackson Dart was also playing against like some decent competition. Whereas like Cam Ward in the ACC couldn't do it. Like that's bad.
You think if Jackson Dart's on Miami, they go to the playoff?
They're 12 and they're undefeated. They don't lose to Syracuse.
I can't remember that game. I can't remember if that was Cam Ward's fault or not, but I'm assuming it was not. Assuming that I thought they scored a lot in that game. I might be forgetting that. I don't remember. Okay, the very last thing, because I know we got to wrap up here in a second. I do just want to say, Jack, you caught unnecessary flack, I thought, for the trade TJ Watt for Matthew Stafford.
People forget. You think I was shocked to see it. TJ Watt's going to be 31 next year. These guys fall off when they turn 32, 33. You only have a couple seasons left.
Dude, people were talking about Jack like no brain cells. And I was looking at this going,
like, Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback.
There are many reasons to say Jack is no, but this was ridiculous.
That's the thing, is like there are many reasons to say that, and that's
but
not
this was wrong.
Yeah, that's not one of them. I mean, Matthew Stafford's a very good.
Everyone was like, everybody was getting on Jack about the Steelers. I was like, how many times have the Steelers won a playoff game in the past 8 years? Right? They haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
And people will come at me for that, and yet nobody acknowledges that I thought the sun was smaller than the Earth.
Yeah. I think you don't want to bring that up. I just thought you were fine for arguing, hey, let's go get a great quarterback who maybe has 2 years left of being very good, and giving up a pass rusher who would then be 33 at the time. By the time this 2 years is over, I didn't think that was crazy at all. Like, you haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. You need a quarterback.
I know.
The very last thing I wanted to talk about with you guys, related to the Cam and Shedeur, was assuming that the Titans do go Abdul Carter. When you move on down the draft, so you have the Browns at 2, right? The Giants at 3. I think you have 5 QB needy teams in that top 7 between the Titans, Browns, Giants, Raiders, and Jets are all need a quarterback. Would you say it would be a mistake for each of those, like as you move down the list, for them to pass on the QB? Like, I know you're not huge fans of Shedeur or Ward, but would it be a mistake as you move down that draft board? Like, if the Giants are there and they have their pick, let's say the Browns go Travis Hunter. Everyone's mocking a quarterback to the Browns, but if they go Travis Hunter, like the Giants there, you probably got to roll the dice, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like it's like when would you start to roll the dice?
When you're this quarterback class, I don't think is super strong throughout the entire draft. Like we've seen years in the past where you can wait and take a flyer on a quarterback. Like Dak Prescott was a 4th round pick. Mm-hmm. And I'm generally for, like, if there's a quarterback I like just as much as others who's going to be there in the 3rd or 4th round. This year, I don't know if I really see that.
I'm showing you Bill Kiper's mock draft right now.
But a lot of the time when you're struggling at quarterback, and I've asked myself this as a Steeler fan, like how do you fix it? Who's our next QB? What do you do? To me, it's drafting a quarterback and hitting, like having him pan out, hoping that you will, like, hope. What am I trying to say?
Let me ask you here. So what you're saying right now is when you have a guy like Abdul Carter on the board, you can't pass up a generational prospect. But then as you move down, and maybe it depends what you think of Travis Hunter, he could be considered that too. After you're past those two guys, then it's okay to take the shot on the quarterback.
Yeah, like
even if you're not sure,
taking a shot and having him pan out like you hope he pans out is the best way to,
but not over the generational prospect. That's what you're saying. Okay.
But that's the thing.
After, you agree with that?
After these two are drafted, there's no freaks before Ward and Sanders. Like I would take my shot with one of those guys. I wouldn't take him in the 3rd round.
Sorry, Ziggy. Go ahead.
There's one other player. I think Hunter and Abdul Carter are clearly the 2 best prospects in this draft. Ashton Genty, I think, is a special player, but you don't want to do what the Giants did and take the special running back early and never have a team for him. Mason Graham strikes me as one other player who I think is really worth considering early. I don't think he's very high on a lot of people's lists, but I also think he's a special player. We've seen in the NFL over the past few years, interior defensive linemen that are really fast and really agile are as important as having those big guys on the edge that can get through. Or I've seen it for teams like the Eagles, for teams like the Chiefs of Chris Jones. When you have an elite guy on the inside who's fast, who's big, who can wear down interior offensive linemen and play both the run and the pass game, that can be really, really valuable. Now, Mason Graham, there's a few things he needs to develop, I think, before he's elite. But he strikes me as a guy that any team can draft and put basically anywhere on the interior defensive line, which makes him a nightmare. I really like him.
Let me ask you, Ziggy.
Go ahead.
You go let's say it goes Abdul Carter, Travis. Again, everyone's mocking a quarterback to the Browns. But if you go Abdul Carter, then Travis Hunter, and you're the Giants at 3, would you take?
Well, I probably wouldn't take Mason Graham because we've already got Lawrence on.
Yeah, given the Giants, like, but if you're the Giants, there, you're probably going quarterback.
Probably. I mean, I think there's an argument. I'm high on T-Mac. I know a lot of people aren't. I know Jack isn't. I really like him.
T-Mac at 3?
I think he's one of the best prospects in the draft. He's going to be one of those guys. You're going to see him very high on boards, and you're going to see him later on boards. It depends on what you value on wide receivers. Coming out, I mean, he reminds me a lot of guys like DeAndre Hopkins.
There's no way they would take T-Mac. No shot they would go McMillan at 3.
Oh, I think
you're right that they probably take a quarterback, and I think that's right. I think there's also, honestly, if I'm the Giants, I'm probably hoping that there's a team that's desperate for a quarterback that's in love with one of these guys, so I can move down a little bit and stockpile some more talent, because I'm not super high on any of these quarterbacks.
If Hunter's there, you go Hunter.
If they feel good about Shedeur or Ward, go ahead. But
what if it's Shedeur or Hunter?
I'm taking Travis Hunter.
You would too, Jack?
I probably would, yeah.
Because that's probably it's probably gonna be Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, and then they're gonna have their pick of Travis Hunter or Shedeur Sanders. I'm sure as heck not taking the QB2 in this draft. I think they're gonna.
I think in a QB week draft too, if you're taking
he wants to be there too.
Number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I to fix the quarterback issue is to hit on one of these high first round picks and hope he pans out. That's I think that's the best.
Like when you're picking at the top of the first round, you can't afford to miss. Missing on one of those picks sets you back big time.
It does, but taking the shot and having him hit is what cures it. Like it's risk
I think it's worth that shot.
Yeah, it's risk reward.
I love taking quarterbacks. I'm with you guys on this a lot. I don't like the quarterbacks this year. I
that's
really
fine.
am
Yeah,
not feeling it.
that's fine. I think that after you get by,
Yeah, I don't like these two either.
This strikes me. The hype to take these guys really early seems very similar to me as the hype to take Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett very early in the first round. We saw that a few years ago. If the guys aren't going to be good, if they're just not exciting prospects, they're just not.
Yeah, but this was much different. This is different because these guys are at least being mocked in the top 5, top 10. Like those guys were.
People were mocking Malik Willis #1 overall.
Yeah, but there's a reason he dropped so far. Like
I think you could see Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders drop that far.
I don't know about as far as Malik felt. Like Pickett went in the 21st. You know what I mean? Like no one at the end, right before the draft, no one was mocking Kenny Pickett to go #1 overall. Like Cam Ward will be mocked in that or questioned in that top 3 the whole time. But I get what you're saying. Yes, it's a weaker class.